Hi there, Debbie Nigro, Chief Executive Girlfriend, FirstWivesWorld.com. Did you even know that it would be possible to renegotiate your divorce settlement? You may not want to, and it may not work, but it is possible. And Laurie Puhn is here with us today. She is the family law attorney who knows this topic cold. Welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Nice to have you. There's three ways you can renegotiate a divorce settlement, the first of which is the division of assets and liabilities.
Right. Now, let's recognize renegotiating a divorce settlement is really difficult. And so for everyone listening, it's very important that whatever you sign or whatever you're asking the judge for, you're very clear on what you would get and what you won't get. And that if you agree to a certain amount of division of assets and maintenance or alimony, recognize that that may be it. And so you've got to know, do I need to get a job? Do I need to get a teaching degree? But plan for that, because the ability to go back and change it is slim. Possible, but slim.
And there's only a couple things that will allow that to happen. One,
yes,
fraud had to be committed, right?
Exactly. With
somebody
assets,
was lying.
Yeah, assets and liabilities, we're talking about undue influence. You can, if someone pressured you, let's say you, the spouse, had a major mental issue at the time, or a language barrier. The other thing is fraud. Now, here's fraud. It's really all about is someone hiding assets.
That's hiding cash, hiding money,
cash.
hiding everything.
Look, in California, there's this case, Rossi v. Rossi.
I love this case.
Yeah.
Tell the story.
Only if you're on the right side of the deal of it.
Tell the story, Rossi
v. Rossi. A woman won the lottery right before she was getting divorced. She hid it in another bank account, got a different address to get the money sent. Eventually, husband found out. After the divorce was final, went back to court because she had not disclosed this. She was in bad faith, she committed fraud, and the judge awarded 100% of $1 million to the husband.
That was a bad ending for Rossi.
Yeah, so
not for Rossi.
Let's not hide our assets. But if you discover there were hidden assets, you can go back to court.
If something was overlooked in the original settlement,
exactly,
is another good reason why you can renegotiate.
Well,
what would be an example of that?
Very much. A good example would be if you and your spouse both owned a house, and on the mortgage both of your names are still on it, and you forgot in the agreement to write that your husband has to get a new mortgage. Let's say some years have passed and you want a new mortgage because you don't want your name on the debt anymore. Some years have passed, let's say it's today, and interest rates are higher. And now your ex-husband says, well, look, I would be happy to refinance and take your name off, but it's going to cost me, an extra $500, $800, $5,000 a year. Okay, this is when you want to say, maybe I don't need to go to court for this. What can we negotiate? Maybe you want to offer some lump sum payment that'll make the pain of the higher interest rate not as bad for your spouse. So you got to put your minds together and try and solve this problem as a team. Yes.
Most times it's too much trouble, too much money, and that doesn't really work. Is that
most
fair?
of the time it's very hard. You have to have real fraud, serious overlooked issues. So cover your bases in the beginning.
You can renegotiate when a child support issue comes up and when custody and relocation come up.
Yes. Thing is, the courts are very much in favor of the best interests of the child. And so this is one area where child support, custody, you can always revisit it. Though, you must prove a change in circumstances. Meaning, let's say your child has developed a learning disability. You have extra expenses, certain medical issues. Or perhaps you've lost your job and suddenly you can't pay the medical bills that you were proportioned to
Well, this
pay.
happens a lot of times with change of financial situations. And how do you, does it worth it to go back and try and get it changed?
It's pretty much a math problem.
It's a math
problem. I mean, you got to sit there and think, if I get an extra $100 in child support, but it costs me $10,000
in legal fees,
then maybe it's not worth it.
The third area where you might want to renegotiate your divorce settlement is maintenance and alimony. And it said, first, read your divorce agreement.
That's
I don't know,
right.
has everybody gone back and reread their divorce agreement afterwards?
You probably never want to see it
again. It's like
again.
a bad novel.
You hide it from yourself in the back of your closet. Take a look, read it, because in the agreement, most likely, whether you agreed to it and worked with a mediator, the mediator would have known, or your attorneys would have known, to include a modification clause, which tells you whether or not you can ask for a modification in your maintenance or alimony. In addition, another point, Check to see if the agreement says that the court retains jurisdiction on the issue. Now that sounds all legalese, but what it means is if a court does not have jurisdiction, you can't go to court to get more alimony.
So who then would have the jurisdiction?
Nobody. It's over. If the court has no jurisdiction and there's no clause that says you can modify, you better get on your knees and beg to your husband.
Oh, you can make up your own laws.
You've got to come to a personal agreement.
Could you type an agreement and sign it yourself and not tell anybody that and just pretend it's like real?
Well, the best way to do that, and actually people do come to outside of court agreements together, modifying their divorce settlement. If anybody's doing that, it's really important to put it in writing.
How long after the agreement is made can you go back and say, change a child support arrangement or a custody? How many years?
As long as your child has not been emancipated, meaning that they're still under 21 or they're in college, you can go back. Because remember, the court and hopefully your spouse really wants what's best for your child. So if you, I mean, with relocation even, if there's a situation where you could get a great job in a city 20 miles away, and it's going to affect your mom lives there and she's going to help babysit, you know, don't always run to the court. Go to your ex-husband and say, listen, here's what I'm thinking about. What would it take for you to allow us to move? Do you want more weekends, more vacation, more holidays?
I want everything. And such great information. You really are fabulous. More at First Wives World. Thanks. Thanks.